welcome to the Ask Johnny format of Blue Boy Swim School.
Kelly Lowe asked, what made you dedicate your life to drowning prevention awareness?
Well, Kelly, that's another big question. And coming from one of the moms that I taught to swim when she was a little girl, you're part of why I've dedicated my life to teaching swimming and water safety, which are intertwined, interwoven. I started teaching at Blue Boy in 1967, and one of my students that year was a 4-year-old boy who took lessons on our Balboa Island pool that we leased at the time. And like so many of the customers during that period of time in history, swim lessons were a summer activity, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, just kind of a fun experience. And he didn't really acquire the skills that he needed. They stopped lessons after 2 weeks, and they were big tennis buffs. That fall, Braden slipped away from the crowd that was watching his parents at a tennis tournament and got into the pool at the tennis club, and he drowned. That was a huge wake-up call for me and for the swim school too, to realize that these younger children need to have more than just 2 weeks during the summer. So we began expanding the season. Instead of taking swim lessons every day for 2 weeks, we encourage people to take lessons once or twice a week the whole year long. And that has become the norm, and we see a much safer clientele now with kids that are acquiring and retaining their skills at a much higher level. So I love teaching swimming. I love working with children. I love working with people in general. I love being outside. So these are the things that have given me that drive to continue doing what I'm doing now, and I hope to do it for another 10, 15 years or more. So thank you, Kelly, for being part of that continuum. And then I think you had one other question that was, if I had to make one recommendation to families for water safety, what would that be? And this is, again, such a loaded question. There are probably 12 million factors, which is a number that numerologists came up with for the possible factors that could go into a drowning anywhere in the world at any point in time. So this gets back to the Safer 3 message. And that's what I would recommend to every family, and I'll go into a little more detail here. Follow the Safer 3. The Safer 3 is a message that starts with the word safe, that there is no safe when it comes to being in, on, around the water, but we can be safer by recognizing where the risks are in the 3 elements common to every drowning. There's always water, always a person, and always a response. If we use those 3 elements and the concept that there's always risk, and yes, it could happen to you and your family, what would you do to help prevent that from happening if you use the Safer 3 as a framework to create a recipe, a personal family recipe? Where is the Lowe family recipe for prevention? Do we have a pool in our backyard? Are there barriers to keep small children from gaining access when they're away from supervision? Do we have an understanding of where the safer water is when we go to the beach? Is there a red flag up? What does that mean at the lifeguard tower? What do the big waves mean to us? Is that a safer experience for us if we're not really accomplished surfers or body surfers? Understanding where the risks are in any body of water. You guys have a boat, I know. You have a different protocol when you go to the river, I'm sure, or to the lake. The kids wear life jackets. That's part of being safer people. And for heaven forbid, if anything ever happened to someone in your party, you should know CPR and some rescue techniques. Again, part of our Safer 3 Water Safety Challenge was a reach, throw, don't go. So there are thousands of things, individual steps or ingredients that could go into your recipe. But if we start with the understanding there's always risk in the water, with the people, and with the response in your lives, and look for the ways to recognize and reduce those risks, that's my recommendation. And we want everyone to love and live in the water as safely as possible. Thank you for your questions. We look forward to the next installment. Keep them coming.